All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be chatting with an individual who has quite the high-stakes fight coming up, a rematch going at BKFC 26 on June the 24th. We have the welterweight title on the line, a champ versus champ clash with Luis Palomino and Elvin Brito, and very happy to be welcoming Luis onto the show. How's the day going so far, man?
Going great, man. It's going awesome. It's one of my favorite days of training. I have sparring, I have strength and conditioning, sport, anaerobic, to the point of death. So it's the funnest part of camp.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like you're a real science kind of minded guy with the game and everything like that. Like, it seems like the fight IQ is one of the bigger things you bring to the table. So it sounds like you're applying that to some of the preparations you just kind of outlined there.
100%, man. That's what comes with experience. You know, I'm at 41 years old, 16 years going on 17 years of, in the fight game. You pick up a couple of things and something clicks along the way and you finally start to apply it all together. And that's what's gotten me to this 6-0 undefeated, going for a second title at this moment in my life.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of people already, ubiquitously kind of regard you as, that number one pound for pound in BKFC, but just in cementing yourself in history as, that, two-weight champion in BKFC. I feel like that's going to really put you super far ahead if, there might be a chasm-sized gap between you and the next guy there if you get the ideal outcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I mean. I'm trying to just leave my legacy as hard to match. Thank you. As possible. As hard to match as possible. And that's what we're aiming at. Right now, we're 100% focused on getting Brito and finishing Brito this time. The first time around, he was in a tournament setting, and I wasn't going out for the kill. I was being ready in case, for the second round, the third round, go to the title. But now I have this title. He has a title that I want to take, so I'm definitely going in for a kill in this fight.
Yeah, and obviously, based on how you approach the game, I imagine the individual that fought Brito the first time is a fair bit different than what we're going to be getting in this rematch. But just in terms of what you've seen with him, not getting into game plan specifics or anything like that, but have you seen a real, leveling up with Elvin Brito relative to the last fight you guys had heading into this sequel affair?
I've seen a difference. I mean, look, man, I've always said it. There's always going to be that little talk back and forth. And one thing that I do in the talks is I'm very straightforward and very honest about it. I'll call out on his things, but I'm also going to give him the respect that he deserves. The man lost against me and went undefeated until today. He became a champion. I was waiting for a reason. He's gotten better. I said in a previous interview, when you train with certain people, you absorb certain things from certain people. And he's been training a lot with the Juggernaut. And Juggernaut is known for being a train, very aggressive, straightforward. And that's a thing that I think Brito was lacking in his game. He was lacking a little bit of aggression. Where I found him in a lot of boring fights. Even my fight kind of made it a little funny because he's so good. He neutralizes the game of the fight, and he's not very aggressive. But in his last fight, when he picked up that title, he showed a different Brito. He showed an aggression. He showed a pressure. He showed a need for a finish, a need for, I gotta cement this win. Even though he didn't get a unanimous decision, because he had a very game opponent in the Lionheart, he did show an improvement, at least in aggression. I don't think that his skill-wise, he has fixed those holes that he has, but he did add something to his game. That he did.
And you kind of touched on an individual there, Caleb Harris, and that sort of goes into a question that I had because, entertaining the ideal outcome happens. You would be champion in two different weight categories. So would and you're not overlooking your opponent by any means, but the next subsequent move, would that be more of a lightweight return to fight a Chad Mendez or maybe defend the title at welterweight against maybe Caleb Harris or another, rematch with Jim Allers or something like that?
As far as at this stage in time in my life, I'm not very interested in rematches. Now, look, I'm a company man. If Jim Allers, for example, surfaces can and gets a 2-3 fight win streak, he earns his way to a title shot again, I'm glad to give it to him because he earned it, And if the company says, you're fighting Jim Allers, hey, then that's who I'm fighting. I get paid to fight who they tell me to fight. Now, if I can, pick and choose, and I would say, the biggest fight for the promotion, the biggest fight for me, for my pockets, which I think that I'm in a good position now, a very deserving position to get paid. It's a money fight with Chad Mendes. I would love to pick up this belt at 165, come back down to 155, defend it against Chad Mendes, and if possible, I'm going to ask the promotionist, I'm going to ask if we can make that fight happen in Peru. I know I can fill up a whole stadium over there, especially with a Chad Mendes name. I think it will be a great fight for the promotion. And like we said, I'm not looking past Brito. I have to take care of this first. But having picked up that belt, I will have to defend my belt back to 155. Once I defend that belt at 155 with the biggest name possible, after Chad Mendes, if they don't sign somebody else, who is there? There's nobody for me at 155 right now. Like, at least nobody that I'm going to make money with. And at this age, 16 years fighting in this game, I need to make some real money before I step out. So my thing is Chad Mendes, unless they find somebody else, like a huge name somewhere, Chad Mendes and higher, that can attract, a good payday, then I won't even drop back down to 155. I'll pass that torch to El Tornado, Tyler Goodjohn. We signed Tornado, ETW, East to West Management Company, so our company. My manager and I, we put a management company together, and we signed him. We have him in a training camp right now. We flew him in. He's my training partner today. He's been pushing me. I've been pushing him. And we're reinventing him right now. So I'm very sure that he can hold on to that title at 155. So I want to put him in that position. But I would like to defend it against Chad Mendes, make my money, go back to 165, and whatever the company says is what's going to happen. If the company says so-and-so, it's him. If it says so-and-so, it's him, hey, it's what the company says,
Yeah, and that segues perfectly into the thing I wanted to talk about, just the dynamic with Tyler Goodjohn, former opponents, now training partners. Can you speak to the kind of camaraderie that exists in the training room when you've had like that kind of throwdown with someone and now you guys are like honing skills as teammates? Because that's pretty sweet for me to see.
Yeah, the dude pissed me off, to be very honest. Right? There was, like, some people ask, hey, man, is this stuff real? Yeah, it's real. I don't know this dude, man. This guy just jumps in my ring in my moments. I hadn't fought in Miami years. Like many years I hadn't fought in Miami. And I'm like the biggest ticket seller here, And like I have all my family, my friends, my fans. And it's my moment to come like Mike and give the thanks and thank my sponsors and all that. And this dude just jumps in the ring, he takes the mic, like, oh man, I was pissed. I really wanted to destroy this dude, and that's what happened. We got together. Look, he earned my respect when I found out the way that he came to this fight. We're talking about COVID times, we're talking about quarantine. He had to quarantine in DR for 15 days, no trainers. He showed up to the fight with some trainers that didn't even, went for what, days, weeks, a week or two, and he came to challenge the undefeated champion, man, and he pushed the fight, man. If you look at the stats, it says that he landed 23 shots, I landed 173, bare knuckle fist to the face. This dude is slapping himself in his chest, saying, walking forward, let's go. And I'm like, man, he made a fan out of me. He made a fan out of me, and I spoke to my man, Ralph Navarro, Christopher Navarro, the ETW team, and we said, man, we got to sign this guy, and we started talking to him, and there's a different side of Tyler Goodjohn. I think there's a misunderstood Tyler Goodjohn, and then there's Tyler Goodjohn, and that is a great thing because it's very marketable too. So that was a great signing for us. We're very happy with him. All the beef is over, and he's the most humble person I ever met. Man, the dude is like, look, man, there's a saying that say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Ain't that old? I'm the old one here. But sometimes when you have a seasoned fighter that's been training with their own camp, their own trainers for so long, it's kind of hard to like break that shell and reinvent them or add things to that game. Like they don't take it very well, and the ego will get in the way. This dude is like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Oh, I understand. It's like he's open-minded to learn. He's open-minded to improve himself. He's open-minded and to understand the holes that he had, and that's what we're fixing right now. So I training part of my boy right now, man. We good now.
Yeah, and I would think there'd be good momentum just in the sense of both of you guys having your individual fight dates. Like, he's locked in for that July 16th card in London. It seems like looking to climb his way back in the hierarchy there. So I imagine it's like a real iron sharpens iron, to use the cliche.
100%.
Yeah, I love to, see the connectivity there and everything like that. But Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of other broader goals you've had, like even outside of specific matchups and stuff like that, like with BKFC Peru seeming to hold like a level of prominence to you at some point. Do you see that happening in like the next like couple years even? Because it seems like the international expansion has been quite the level of focus for them, like with Thailand and different markets they've gone into.
Well, we don't have too many years with me. I am 41, turning 42 in October. So, I'm no psychic, but I do believe that we take BKFC Peru this year. I believe so. I'm working on that. I'm pushing for that. I mean, I got a whole country behind me, man, So why not? Why not go over there and collect the fans, collect the subscribers, you know what I mean? So I think it would be a great idea. It's all a matter of planning when we're doing it and, who are we using to attract the rest of the crowd, But I see it happening this year. I have faith.
Yeah, maybe you can like do like a face-off for like media day in front of the lines of Nazca or something like that. Get something going with that.
Sorry, you cut off.
Oh, I was just saying maybe you could get like a press photo, like a face-off going in front of the lines of Nazca. I saw you had that Instagram photo in front of that.
Yeah, I have always been intrigued by that. Look, I was illegal on and off. I had work permits, of course, when I fought for BKFC, but it wasn't always before BKFC. Like I had a lot of on and offs with my legal situation in the States. I didn't have a residency for 31 years, so I hadn't seen my country in 31 years. I did have permission to work. I did work legally, of course, but there were times that I didn't. I couldn't fight. There was years that I couldn't. So I couldn't even travel. I didn't see my father for 25 years. I didn't see my brother for 25 years. And finally, I get my residency. I'm a permanent resident now, and I got to go and visit my family. My dad, my brother, my cousins, aunts, uncles. And I said, now we have to go to the lands of Nazca. I was like, I'm very intrigued by, I don't know if you watch a lot of the ancient aliens documentaries.
Oh, yeah, but, I've seen those.
With the stories, and the science behind it. And it was cool, man. It was a blessing to be able to see this thing in my own country. I still have the Machu Picchu trip. So if we take BKFC to Peru, man, I'd love to take that Inca Trail trip with the BKFC crew. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine how cathartic that would be to return after over 3 decades out of the picture. I imagine there's going to be some subsequent trips ramped up, made up for lost time now that situation you were mentioning seems to have been cleared.
Yes, 100%. I already have plans right after this fight, going back through, start promoting more about the possibility of BKFC coming over to Peru and, make myself even more known out there because, like I said, I haven't been there so long that people do follow, but this is just the fight community. I need the rest of the country now. So I'm picking up on that. We're working on that now.
Yeah, that's awesome, and glad to hear that for sure, man. But something I was noticing leading into the Knucklemania 2 fight that you had, it was saying you had one fight left on the current deal there, and you were kind of talking about how you're not going to be, in this for like years and years necessarily, and also seems like you're looking at like gloved boxing as a, potential option as well, something you would like to do before the career kind of ends there. So like what's the, I guess, dynamic with this deal left here? I would presume there's a couple BKFC fights, few BKFC fights, but is there also like some gloved boxing worked into that, or like what's the situation in that kind of context?
That's a great question, man. Look, boxing was my very, very first love. My very first love. I started out boxing at the age of 10. I only boxed at 13 years old. At 13, my father goes to prison, gets deported. All hell breaks loose. We had to leave California. We come back, we go to Miami, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I ended up doing Capoeira, Brazilian martial arts, MMA, blah. And boxing has always been my first love. I would love to do a couple or a few glove boxing fights if possible. I mean, I don't know how much my body can, how long my body will stand with me. But I have no complaints right now as far as boxing or bare knuckle boxing. But I would say that if I was to do anything to do with boxing, it would only be with the blessing of Dave Feldman and BKFC. Only if they were to be a part like they were when they, I think they took a guy to, it was Tritter, where they had one of the guys from BKFC fight over that they were a part of it. Only if it's something like that where, I'm a very loyal person. I'm loyal to the company, I'm loyal to my trainers, to my people. And I want to keep that good relationship. I want to keep working with BKFC even after I retire. So if I was to make that move, I would love to make that move because that was my first dream, was to be a boxer, with gloves. I would love to do a fight with a big name, whatever I can do, but with the blessing of Dave Feldman and BKFC behind me. Now, if that was to be possible, man, that would be a dream come true. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, you mentioned like the Triller kind of crossover example. I'm pretty sure like Hector Lombard is still under BKFC contract, and they let him fight in Eagle FC. So yeah, I mean, there seems to be certain options for that. So hopefully that pans out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also mentioned Capoeira in there and how that was like a base kind of thing for you for many years. And I saw a video a little bit ago where you were saying it'd been about 8 years since you trained any of those moves. It seemed like you still had the moves going though. Like, how did that feel getting out there?
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. It's like riding a bike. You don't forget. You just get tired faster, and maybe you get a little more aches from certain moments. But I did it for 13 years straight, man, and I learned how to speak fluent Portuguese thanks to capoeira. So like I can speak to anybody from any part of Brazil, and I never went to school for it. So a lot of the explosiveness, the agility that I have, or most of it, comes from the years of capoeira. So big thanks to Master Cesar, Master Delay, who I started with in my capoeira days. I know my boys from capoeira, but it was a very big part of my life. It actually saved my life. To be very honest with you, when I first came to Miami from California, the gang activity in Miami was ridiculous. And if it wasn't for capoeira, man, who knows, man? Who knows where I'd be right now? I have a lot of friends that ended up dying. I have a lot of friends that are still in prison, or that just came out of prison. So like, who knows where I'd be if it wouldn't have been for capoeira,
Yeah, it seems like martial arts gave you a great outlet, and like you outlined even some of the aspects of what sounded like a tumultuous kind of childhood there. So it seems like martial arts was and continues to be like a great outlet for you in a lot of regards.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. I think it's something that should be not forced but introduced to all youngsters that are not. Look, if your kid is not into baseball, it's not into football, it's not into basketball, maybe he'll be into a combat sport, maybe karate, maybe kickboxing, maybe boxing, maybe capoeira. You never know, but you got to put them into something that is a part of a community. Keep them busy, keep them entertained, keep them, training their body, getting to know, who they are, physically, and that, will keep them away from trouble. I mean, it did it for me. I'm living proof.
Yeah, and I think it gives like a certain like discipline-minded understanding of the world and stuff like that. And I mean, a lot of situations where you've kind of showcased that, like, I mean, like the severity of the COVID illness that you had and just coming from that and putting on the performances that you did. I mean, I would think that would be rooted in that like base level discipline, mental/spiritual resolve you would learn at those kind of points in your formative years.
1,000%. 1,000%. Oh yes. It becomes a part of your life. It's a lifestyle. Look, eating healthy, training, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you just do for a couple of months, but it's a lifestyle. You learn how to live like that. You have a longer life and a more quality of life, man.
Yeah, no, man, that's what it's all about for sure. And yeah, it's been really great getting to talk to you today. I appreciate the time. But one thing I wanted to kind of touch on there as we're kind of wrapping up. I noticed that the geishas weren't allowed in the last walkout, and you didn't really know the reason for that. Are we going to be getting those this time, or?
This time I have a surprise. I'm aiming more at my Peru country. Look, I always write. I'm Peruvian American. I think in English. I'm very grateful and thankful for this country and the life that it's provided my family and I. And I've never forgotten about my roots. I've always represented my roots. But I am Peruvian American, and I've always represented both. But at in this moment, now that I'm back to my country and I want to fight over there, I'm trying to attract more of my people, so I have a little gift for them. So I want to do more of my roots, and expose more of that. The samurai thing. Before I even met my wife, I just got married in my last fight, actually, the week of my last fight. But we've been together for 4 years, and she's Japanese, right? Her whole entire family's Japanese. She hates when I say full breed Japanese, but because I breed dogs with her. Yeah. But she's full breed Japanese, and before I even met her, years. If you look at my Instagram, it says Samurai Spirit. I've always loved that samurai culture, that Japanese culture, the way that they eat, the way that they take care of themselves, the martial art, the respect, the honor, I've always loved the Pride shows. I loved Pride more than UFC back in the days. I've always loved that honor, the respect, that martial art side of it, of things. And when I got together with her, it was just easier to be able to express my walkouts, how I feel, the samurai thing. The gauge was her idea. She's like, I'm gonna get you some gauges. I'm like, okay, great, let's do it. And in this last show, first I did the gauges by themselves, then I did the drummers, right, the Japanese drummers, and then I wanted to put it all together. But it wasn't BKFC. It was the Hard Rock. Hard Rock. It was a little headache with bringing in my entourage, and it didn't happen. I spent $1,500 for my walkout, man, and I couldn't show you guys what I had planned for you guys. I believe that the walkout of a fighter should be a show of its own. It should be allowed because it's what the fans are paying for. The fans are paying for a good fight, for blood, for a knockout, for a second fight. But it doesn't hurt to give them a show leading to that, leading up to that. And that's what I've been trying to, expose more, trying to, show the organization that we can do more. That's just my 2 cents, This time we're going to do a little more indigenous, more Peruvian side for this fight.
Yeah, good shout out to Pride too. I had a similar kind of connection to it when I was a younger lad there. I think it was the day before my 13th birthday, Crow Cop and Fedor were fighting each other, and just, so electric. Such a great show, so great shout out there for sure, man. But you've been great with your time, and it's been awesome getting to pick your brain a little bit, man. But I do want to be mindful of your time and everything, so is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up, Luis?
Thanks. Always, attitude of gratitude, man. I got to thank my people in the cigarette racing, NY, Florida Justice International, Mr. Rob Navarro, ETW, East to West Management is here now. Divina Ceviche, all my sponsors, they know their names and know who they are. I just have to mention them because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to focus 100% in this camp. We are, I am a 41-year-old man with 41-year-old responsibilities. We got bills to pay. And, being able to be sponsored by this great people, these companies, it allows me to be able to just focus on myself, not only the training, but the recovery aspect and everything that comes with it. So big thanks for all my sponsors. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was great getting to talk to you, and focus certainly paramount, especially in a big rematch when we got 2 champs going at it, and people can check that out June 24th when Elvin Brito and Luis Palomino knuckle up and toe the line at BKFC 26. And yeah, again, to reiterate, thanks for coming on, man, and just you enjoy the rest of your day too, man.
You got it, brother. Have a good one. Thank you.